So here we are logged into our two machines here. The one on the left is going to be my private machine. The one on the right is going to be my public machine. And we're going to be generating our secret key over here. We won't be sharing that with anyone, as is the case with any secret key. Listen to this one. Ready? You're going to see a lot of trick questions coming up. And if you remember this fact, it makes life so much easier. If a machine has a secret key on it, that secret key is never shared with anyone ever. All right, the secret key, you just don't. Secret key always remains secret. Seems common sense, right? It seems pretty common sense. You're going to read some questions where you're like, wait, maybe another entity needs my secret key. No, secret key remains secret. All right, so we're going to install something here that's going to help. We're going to do apt install rng-tools. And that's not recommended in a real scenario because what I'm hearing and reading online is RNG tools doesn't really generate the right kind of entropy. We'll be doing some random key generation, and this is going to speed up the process. So go ahead and run that. Pause the video and wait for it to install. It'll take about a minute to install. Okay, so at this point you should have your RNG tools installed. And in most situations, we would apt install new PG. We want to make sure that's also installed as well. I believe it's installed by default on these Amazon machines. So new PG, which is the basically open source version of PGP. It's the one that everyone uses. Okay, so we're going to go GPG --gen -key, just like that, on the private machine. And it's going to ask some questions here. These questions are, if you were actually using GPG in the real world, which I like to do sometimes, you would, make sure all this is legit, but this doesn't matter for right now, as long as you know what you put. Put my name, email address. I'm going to go jbeck@noemail.net, because I do not care about this right now. And it's going to ask me, is everything cool? Josh Beck, jbeck@noemail.net. And I'm going to say, indeed, okay. And it's going to ask me for a passphrase. Don't forget your password. I'm going to type something very simple here. It's going to warn me and tell me that I'm not very good at creating passwords. Okay, so now that I've created a password, it's going to go through this process. If your RNG tool install did not go through, this is going to hang, and it's going to take like a half an hour, okay? But if you installed your RNG tools, this part of the process goes through nice and fast. Okay, so here we have, we've created a public-private key pair with our jbeck@noemail.net account, or whatever it is you're using. I'm going to go ahead and clear this as well. So let's use some commands that will help here. You can do GPG --list -keys. And you can see that these are the keys that we have here. We have a public key with a user ID. You can see I ran through this once to make sure it worked, and I created an account called test@noemail.net. So I have a key for that user, and I have a key for jbeck@noemail.net. So at this point, I could create step-by-step turn-ins where you screenshot this and turn it in, but with this group, I'm not going to do that. When we get to the end of the project, there'll be a turn-in that will demonstrate to me that you've worked through all the steps. So I'm not going to expect to turn in at this point. Most of the time in class, I'd have you raise your hand, and I'd come over and grade it. But just go ahead and move into the next video. By the time we're finished with this project, I'll have you turn in something that'll tell me that you've done all the steps. So it's time to move on to part 3.